I just want to introduce myself. My name is Becky and I am the Partnership Specialist and the Recruitment Manager with the TEFL Institute of Ireland. Today we are talking about teaching English in Asia. So obviously it's a little bit different this year and last year about teaching in Asia. So we will go through what has changed in the last year. And go through certain countries, the most popular countries. But if you do have any questions about a few random countries or anything like that, or you're planning on going to a country that I don't mention, you can write it into the chat box and I'll try to get to it. And if I don't know, because we don't actually deal with every country in Asia, so I don't want to say anything that I don't know. So if I can do some research for you though, and I can send it to you via email over the weekend, okay guys? So just let me know the countries that you're interested in if I don't get to them, and we will get some answers for you, okay? So first of all, I would just like to welcome everybody here. What we're going to be running through, the first thing that I would like to run through is the requirements, okay? So a lot of people, when they hear about Asia and teaching in Asia, they hear level 5 TEFL cert, they hear bachelor's degree, and all the native English speaker, all of this, but it's not specific to all of Asia, okay? So yes, places like the UAE and even some places in South Korea, they are now asking for a level 5 certificate, which is our 180-hour TEFL certificate. This is now a requirement for the visa in the UAE, but it is not a requirement in most Asian countries right now, so that's okay. Also with the bachelor's degree, you'll see it coming up in jobs, so they'll have a list of requirements for each job when you're searching for a TEFL job. If they say it's a bachelor's degree, this may not be a school preference. It actually might be a visa requirement, and that's why they are listing it. So some countries that list it as a requirement would be China, Thailand, Japan, South Korea, Vietnam. So all those countries, they do require a bachelor's degree for a visa. So this is strict. Now, what I would say is if it is a school preference and they're listing it, but you check up the visa requirements and it's not a requirement for the visa, and say you have a level 7 or, you know, just a couple of level 6s or something like that, I would try and apply anyway. Because it's not a requirement, it's just a school preference, and you might as well try. Okay, so that's kind of the requirements out of the way, the big requirements out of the way. If you don't have a bachelor's degree, you can try Cambodia, you can try Laos, and a couple of other countries around there. So,
hi Becky, I'm sorry, I have one question if you kindly allow me. It will hardly take a couple of seconds. Hi, my name is Rain. I'm actually an Asian, non-native, but I have done masters, and once from Ireland and twice from India. Basically, I'm from India. So I was thinking that I have done my bachelor's, master's, and post-graduation diploma thrice, but it was not in English literature or it was not in academics. So if I complete my TEFL, probably because I'm actually intending to do it from your institutions because I'm still in Ireland. So will that be a bottleneck for me to go abroad, or if I want to teach online, so will that be a hindrance for me, or how things will shape up?
Okay, absolutely great question. So the bachelor's degree, because it's a visa requirement, it can be in any discipline. It does not have to be within education. It does not have to be within English literature. It can be in any discipline. They just want a bachelor's degree. And that's all. So once you get your TEFL and you match it up with your bachelor's degree, that's absolutely perfect. They do not look for a bachelor's of education. It can be a bachelor's of science, a bachelor's of arts. It can be absolutely anything. Yeah, so it's just a requirement. That's all. So yeah, great question.
Thank you. I have another question. I'm actually
Mhm.
40 plus. I'm sorry. I'm actually 40 plus. So
Mhm.
will that be, and I have 15 years of experience in IT industry. I was into IT industry as a manager, project manager. So now I want to, I'm just chasing my dream of teaching English abroad, or at least online as of now. So my age, will that be a bottleneck, another kind of hindrance factor?
So when that, no, absolutely not. Okay, it's not that there is age restrictions or anything like that. Where you can find difficulty with that is if there is a certain, say you're going on to a internship, um, or some sort of training program where they bring you in. Sometimes they can start off with student visas, and this is where it can be a problem. But if you go individually, get your TEFL cert and go straight for the job where there's a working permit, there is no age restrictions. So the only reason that an upper age limit would ever restrict you is if you are going for a if they like to go through a student visa. But because you have the bachelor's degree, you are fully set to go straight for the working permit, so it wouldn't hinder you at all. So don't worry about that.
Becky, I have one last question before I sign off.
Yeah.
Uh, Teaching practicum is very important because I have a couple of friends in teaching online English and a couple of friends in different countries. So all are saying that once we are applying for visa or at least applying for online, they're looking for some 10 to 20 hours teaching practicum. So TEFL Institute of Ireland, will they provide, once we're done with the TEFL course, the teaching practicum online through Zoom or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah, so we have a 10-hour virtual TEFL course. So it is teaching practicum, but for obvious reasons we moved it onto Zoom. But it is still teaching practicum. You get to everybody gets a chance to practice and everything like that, and there's different scenarios. It's really nice. It's broken up into 2 days. And everybody goes into groups. It's only classroom of about 12 people, which is a nice small size, so everybody does get a chance. But this is teaching practicum. So you won't get this by just going for the main TEFL course, either the 120 or the level 5. You will need to go for a hybrid course. So if you'd like to go for the 120 hour, I would, and you don't have any experience, go for the 130-hour hybrid course. This contains the two of them. If you want to go for the level 5 and the teaching practicum, we have a 190-hour as well. Everything above that then will have specialist courses. So if you wanted to go into exam prep or young learners, so choosing the right package for you there. If you don't know what course to go for, you can always email one of our advisors or give us a call in, and we'll be able to kind of go through the specific things. Taking yourself for an example for everybody here, if you have a master's degree, you're thinking about going to Asia, but not the UAE, um, and you need teaching practice, the 120-hour will do for Asia. But if you are thinking that you want to go further, that you might be going to the UAE, or you might want to teach in Europe. Europe are, very, they would be going for that as well. They like the level 5. So if you are thinking about expanding, then definitely go for the level 5. But if you're looking to go for one country for summer, the 130-hour will do. That'll cover everything for you. Yeah, okay, that's perfect. I hope I answered your questions.
Yeah, thank you,
So,
Becky. One last question. Somebody from, she's an Irish, friend of mine. She was telling that she's completed TEFL from your institution last year. She was
mhm.
saying that if you want to apply for jobs, say online jobs, teaching jobs, online, and that in US or Canada, they need an US passport or Canadian passport. Is that correct?
Well, if you're teaching online, you can travel around the place. You're not actually working for that country. It does depend on your contract and everything like that. But if you wanted to go to Asia, or if you wanted to go to a native speaking country, and you did not have the bachelor's degree to be able to get the visa, teaching online and traveling around the place is definitely a nice way to go, because you don't actually need to get a working permit visa. Because you are teaching online, you can apply for the job at home, get the job at home, and then travel around with your laptop on a tourist visa. That's a great way to go as well. Um, so no, you don't need a passport, and you wouldn't even need it's about going on a working permit first. It's very hard to get a passport for each country. I know myself, I've been around the place. So you really don't need to be changing your passport unless you want to stay there.
Thank you so much.
Okay, no problem at all. Yeah, so that's kind of the requirements there, guys. So I want to start this off in a positive note and go through a few pros. Okay, a few great things about Asia. So first of all, the Asian salaries for TEFL teachers are really, really high. They are the highest in the world. So, I mean, the UAE, the Southeast Asian countries, they've really, really high salary packages, which is really, really beneficial. And once everything, if you actually look at your expenses, then in these Asian countries, they are quite less expensive. So your accommodation could end up being only 10% of your salary. So you might get a little bit confused when you're looking at jobs and you see, something's in baht or something's in yen. Um, but it is, accommodation is more than usual. It is 10% of your salary, which is absolutely amazing. I mean, I think we all know here how much percentage your rent is compared to your salary, and could you imagine if it was 10%? It's absolutely amazing there. It's very easy as well to travel between countries. So if you wanted to go for a holiday, I have a lot of people that contact me, and they have friends in Thailand, but they don't have a bachelor's degree. But Lao is right next doors. And sometimes I say, why don't you get a job in Lao and just, travel over and take holidays, because going through those borders, it is quite nice. Yeah. So another pro, which I found, I actually went over to Vietnam, over to our internship over there, and over to our job partners. Um, and I met a few of the children, and I visited the schools, and it's such an amazing culture over there. The the children, they just love to learn, absolutely love to learn. They are in awe of you. Um, Apologies for the dogs. I don't know if you can hear the dogs. Apologies. Um, yeah. So the culture over there, they're falling off you. They love you instantly. They want to learn. It's a completely different culture. You're not going into a classroom and looking at children that don't want to be there and don't want to learn. They're very, very enthusiastic. So it's really, really nice to be in that kind of atmosphere. Yeah, and most of the time you can get year-round dates. Okay, so year-round day to be looking at language centers, but they are huge over in Asia. So there'll be a lot of those jobs there. So I know everybody's kind of, we're looking at start of semester terms and January's only finished, and do I have to wait for September, October? No, you don't. You can go at any time because there are language centers set up. Um, Quiva, a guest speaker today, she's going to be going through a little bit about the language centers side of it. Um, so I'll leave that to her for now, but I just wanted to mention it. A couple of things just to be aware of. I know I mentioned the culture of it, but just remember that Asia is a culture shock, okay? It's not the Western world. They do things a little differently. I would look up their customs and everything like that before you go over, how to enter temples and everything like that. It's absolutely amazing experience. But just be respectful of their culture is what I would say. Yeah, so I mean it is a long way from home, but it's absolutely amazing. It's so peaceful. It's really, really unique. Yeah, so couple of things. I am going to mention the C word now. A couple of things about COVID and what is different this year. First of all, most of you have probably heard about this, but the 2-week quarantine. So once you enter the country, you have to be in a 2-week quarantine. Now there are hotels set up. They're nice hotels. I know quarantine sounds kind of bad, but it's not, okay? It is, you are in a hotel. It might be a little bit lonely. Some hotels, if you are going as a couple, some hotels allow you to quarantine together, some do not. So it's something that I would check. Another thing I would check is if you are a smoker, if it has a balcony, you will not be allowed to go out. So it's lovely, and especially if you go over with a program, like a big program like one of ours that we have on the website, everybody stays in contact. So there'll be Facebook groups, there'll be Zooms and webinars every day, and you'll be keeping in contact with the reps and everything like that. So I just wanted to bring it up because it does sound scary. And so it's not that bad. Okay, we've had people that have gone through it. Just in December, we had a student that went on a 2-week quarantine in Thailand. It should be in our Instagram highlights. But she is just set up in a hotel room. The food is brought to her. Everything is paid for. So you pay a little bit up front. Some programs do cover it, some do not. It's about €1,500. Sounds expensive, but it is 2 weeks of food and board, basically. And broken down, it is quite, it is very, very good. Yeah, so that's kind of the one thing that I wanted to mention. There are a couple of costs when going over to Asia. But it is so worth it once you go over the other side. It's not like, Ireland at all. They are on kind of level 2s, level 3s. So everybody is out and about. Yeah. So there are chartered flights as well running. If a commercial is not available, teachers can, because you are essential going over and you're going for a job, you can avail of these chartered flights, and your program will help this with for you. So yeah, so that is all I'm going to mention about COVID. I would mention what they're doing right now. Some classes are online, some are not. But really, by the time May comes or the summer comes, things might be changed tomorrow. So at the moment, some are partially online, some are in school. Some of them are closed, so there's limited spots available, but there are still schools that are open. So that's right now. It might be changed tomorrow. Okay, so the best countries to go to right now. Thailand are currently doing very well. They're getting people in. There's places available. Bangkok is a little bit higher with COVID at the moment, but you know the regions in the north and everything like that are doing absolutely amazing. Kate is going to come on a little bit later and talk about our Thailand program, as I said, so she can come back to this. Yeah, so Taiwan is doing very well as well. They are taking applications. Our program on our jobs board is taking applications at the moment, and they are getting people in as well. Thailand are doing very well. They've had a really, really good rate over the past year. Very, very low cases, doing really well. Vietnam, they are getting in slowly. Bit of a slow process right there. It does take a little bit of time. It is a bit of a waiting game, but they are going in. Okay. Japan, our program, there was arrivals in November and December in the height of it. So they're doing fine as well. The visa process itself hasn't changed. The COE, which is the certificate, is like a preliminary visa that you would get before your working permit. Because the visa has gone slow, the embassy have actually extended this to 6 months just to accommodate for this. So there's no need to panic when you see that there's a low, you know, that the visa is going really, really slow, because they are extending these COEs and everything like that. Yeah. So, and the UAE, we do not have a program here currently, but I did want to mention it because it is a very, very popular. It's a very, very popular program, a very, very popular destination. But I did want to mention it because you do need, as I said, the level 5 cert. And you know they are on about level 2, level 3, so they're doing quite well at the moment. I don't have much extra information on the UAE because we don't have direct partners or any kind of first-hand information. But I did just want to mention it just to say that they are doing fine. Okay, so they are our main ones that are being opened. So I just got a question here before we move on to Quiva about Vietnam. Do you get a job with a language school before you go in, or in order to get the visa to Vietnam because of COVID? Yeah, so most of the time, I would get the job before you go. It'll be very hard otherwise to get into the country. You don't want to be stuck there either if you know things go down or schools go partially online and they're not hiring anymore. So definitely get your job before you go at the moment, definitely. I know a couple of years ago, it would be nice just to kind of go on a tourist visa and hope for the best and see what happens and have a laugh anyway while you're over there. But at the moment, I would recommend that you secure a job before you go, get the invitation letter from the school so you can get a working permit, and go from there. Some schools as well sometimes are organizing the visa to get the visa over there in the Irish embassies in country. This is up to yourself if you want to do it. We don't do it because we mass hire because we have large programs, and if anything goes wrong, then you know that person is stuck in the country. But if you are going over individually and a certain school says we're going to sort your visa when you get over there, just do your research first before you go. I'm not dissing it because they do go that way, and you do get a legal work permit and everything like that. We just prefer ourselves to get it sorted beforehand. Okay, yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it on to Quiva. Quiva is a prior student of ours. Some people may have seen her. She's been a guest speaker before with us, and she did our Thailand internship, and she is also looking into Vietnam at the moment. So she's just going to give you some first-hand information there now, if you can take it.
Hi guys, and thanks Becky for the lovely introduction. So I went on the Thai internship 2 years ago after I got my 120-hour TEFL course, and I will speak about that in a moment. But right now I am in the process of applying for jobs to move to Vietnam. So as Becky was saying, with COVID, at the moment, you will not get into Vietnam unless you are sponsored. You need a school to sponsor you to get over there because the process is so difficult that a school needs to basically say that they're in charge of you. They'll make sure you'll do the quarantine in order to get into the country. So for, I don't know what it's like for other countries, but for Vietnam, they're very strict with COVID. So you will need a schools and you will need a job or you won't be getting in, because you can't come in a tourist visa, you have to come in a work visa. And you can't have a work visa if you don't have a job. So just be aware of that. So at the moment, I'm interviewing with different language schools. In Vietnam, a lot of the English language schools or the English schools they have are usually jobs in English language schools. So this means that you guys are going to be working in the evenings and midweek, and then on Saturday and Sunday during the day, okay? Although that might not sound very appealing, the culture of English language teachers, it's built around that. So for instance, like the quizzes or nights where all the English teachers get together might not start till 9:30 weekdays, so that you can get out of work and you're finished. So the culture is built around that, so you don't need to be worried about, oh, I'm gonna not have a life because I'm working on the weekends. I would say for the interview processes, I find it just easier. Like I just have like in my Google Drive a set like cover letter that I can just change. I have my degree ready, my TEFL certificate, and my CV ready that I can just hit off. Because they'll want all those in your application. They'll want your passport. They'll want your they'll want a Garda certificate. You probably won't have that at this stage, and you don't need to. But when you get through to the next process, then you will need to get that, and you will need your degree, because it has to be certified and cleared in Hanoi in Vietnam. So all the schools in Vietnam, they will look after you getting your work visa. They will look after your quarantine, and majority of them will pay for your flights. So as a result of this, a lot of the schools are giving 2-year contracts, because they have to pay for the quarantine, and they would most of them pay for your flight over in a chartered flight, okay? Because you can't just book a flight to get to Vietnam. There's only a certain amount of flights coming into the country every month. So just be aware of that. Of course, if you get a job, they'll set this all in motion, and it's not something you need to worry about at all. There are other schools that don't pay for your flights, but so just make sure you're researching the schools that you're looking at, and if you can afford to go over with paying for your flight or not. So for instance, I just got a job offer from one English language school called ILA. It's one of the biggest English language centers in Vietnam. They offer you, no, they don't pay for your flights, but they offer you to pay to come over, and they will pay for your quarantine. They have our weekend school with evening classes during the week. So I'll just give you a general kind of what they ask in the interview process, because it was my most recent one. So they're going to be asking you about your experience. It's okay if you've never taught before. I know ILA accept teachers with no experience. And they do training courses for you when you get over there, so you'll be more comfortable, and they offer you a lot of support. But that's the case with a lot of English language schools over there. And if you're going to work in a public school either, you're going to be supported, so you don't have to worry so much that you're going to get thrown in the deep end. Okay. They will ask you about what your teaching style is. So really make sure you look up what they want to, what their aims of their school are. So what kind of teaching methods they like to use. Like, for instance, some schools like to base their English lessons on play-based learning, which is a lot to do with using conversational English constantly through class. So make sure that you're mentioning these things in your interview, like, you know, I really like playing games, I like playing songs, or teaching songs, so that people can pick up English in an easy way. So just make sure that you're researching the school that you're going to be working for. A lot of the English language centres, you could be teaching children, teenagers and adults. So just be aware of that also in your interview. And all of them bring different challenges, but they also give you a lot of opportunities. For instance, a lot of people find it really easy to teach adults and teenagers. Some people mightn't like teaching kindergarten, whereas I love teaching kindergarten. So it just depends on your preference, and make sure to tell them that as well in your interview. Some applications for schools will ask you to do a demo video, just to send off to them, to give an idea of what you are like as a person, to see your enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is really important, and positivity, and, you know, positive correction for students, because they are quite shy at times. So also they'll probably ask you questions about your, you know, academic history with maybe your degree or with your English language course, so TEFL, and what your goals are as a teacher, and why you are moving to Vietnam, why you want to go. So, you know, you can just say, I want to enjoy a new culture, I'm excited. And the good thing about these English language centres are, if you're going over by yourself, you basically have a ready-made group of friends, because in these English language centres, because they're getting people in on chartered flights, you're coming over in a group, you'll be put in your separate quarantines, but you'll all be doing your courses together. So if you have a week-long course at the beginning, it's a great way to make friends going through English language centres. Personally, for me, I didn't take the job in ILA just because I have, from my internship in Thailand, I was working in a public school, so, you know, 8 till 4 every day, and that's the timetable I want to stick to. So I didn't take the ILA job, but that's okay, because there are lots of places that are offering jobs. Just make sure that you find a place that you want to work. I also know that I want to work in Hanoi, near a place called Teho. So if that school wasn't offering me Hanoi, then I'm not taking it. Just because I've been to Vietnam, I know where I want to live. As well as this, is also the semesters. So yeah, so for primary schools, their semesters start in August, September, or October, depending on the school and the area. But with the English language centres, they're constantly going. So if you got past your interview, usually it'll take 2 months for them to get everything set up with all the things they have to get through with COVID. They'll start your process straight away, and as soon as they can get you on a chartered flight, that's what they'll do. So there's people going over in April, there's people going over in May, June, July, to Vietnam. And then if you want to stick with primary school, it's August, September, October. But just be aware that you'll have to go over before your start date, because you're going to have to do the 2 to 3 weeks quarantine, depending on what the situation is in Vietnam at the moment. Yeah, so that will be everything I have on Vietnam, and just make sure that your contract is looking after you. I know what ILA, they were offering me 78 hours a month, but my contract was minimum 40 hours. So that wasn't going to be good enough for me moving to a new country in the middle of COVID in case the schools closed down, and then I would only have 10 hours a week supporting myself. So make sure you're looking at your contracts and seeing that it suits you, okay? You can always work online as well. It's very easy to do, and you can also pick up more hours in different schools. But just be aware of what you are looking for. I personally just want to live in Hanoi. I've been there, it's a capital city. There's a big European or English teacher community in Hanoi, and there are Gaelic teams, there are, you know, they go on excursions together, there's nights out for English teachers. So I just know that's where I want to live. But it's just preference. I've been to Hanoi, I want to live in Tay Ho, which is basically it's nicknamed like the Europe of Hanoi. So it's very westernized, because when I went to Thailand, I was in the rural villages and I loved it, but I just want something different for my time there. So now I'm going to move on to my experience doing the Thailand internship. So I did that for 1 year and I went over by myself. I was very, very nervous going over by myself, but there was an orientation where I got to meet lots of people. I was very lucky with the internship. The great thing about going with them is that you can and will be placed with another English teacher from the TEFL Institute. So the two girls I'm moving over to Hanoi with, I met them from my school in Thailand, and they're from Drogheda, right? They're from down the road. They're in Thailand at the moment, and we're all going to be moving over to Hanoi, hopefully in June. So what was brilliant about, as Becky said, the cultural shock is a big one, but it is brilliant. In my area, there was probably 20,000 people. A lot of people didn't speak English, but it was great because you had to challenge yourself. You saw what real life was like in Thailand and not the westernized version. So like, for instance, I joined the cycling club with loads of 60-year-olds who couldn't speak English and I couldn't speak Thai, but they like adopted me and I went cycling with them at 5 a.m. every weekend. You know, like, they look after you and people really look out for you in these countries. You know, we got to take part in like local parades. We were in the school all the time, got to take part in like English programs, and we joined Muay Thai. I always say it wrong. You know, it's the brilliant thing about being in Thailand is it's so well located in Asia. So you have in the south, you have the islands, up north you have the mountains where you can go exploring. From there in Thailand, it's really cheap to fly to Vietnam, to Laos, to Cambodia. It's like €20 a flight. So that's one of the reasons I picked Thailand, because I could go traveling wherever I wanted to. We also had a curriculum given to us, so it really helped a lot. Now I did have to work hard, but it depends on the program you're doing. If you're doing IEP or ECD, which are different programs, just English programs, one's more intense, where one is you just see your class once a week. And it was initially tough, but then when you get in the swing of things, it was really good. I hadn't any experience teaching before I went over, so I really don't think that should be a reason to put you off going somewhere. Everyone is in the same boat as you and are willing to help you and ask you questions, and you also have like a teacher to guide you as well, and a representative to come over with you when you go over to Thailand for the first time from the TEFL Institute, and they'll always look after you. My friends are still currently working in Thailand. They're in Bangkok now in a public school, and life is pretty normal. You know, in Vietnam, they have been, you know, in bars and restaurants the whole time because the country went into lockdown, similar to what New Zealand did. So life is relatively normal. The same goes with Thailand, although they have a bit of a spike in cases at the moment and the country was in a bit of a lockdown. They're very strict. But, you know, you can still go to restaurants and pubs, you can go to the shopping centres, you still have a life. And it's also super cheap to travel there at the moment in really nice hotels because they're all on offer. So yeah, that's really all I have to say, I think, about Thailand and Vietnam. If you guys have any questions, you can ask me.
Thanks very much, Quiva. That was amazing. It's lovely to get like first-hand information, and I know maybe like myself, I've gone on holidays over there. I've been to Hanoi myself, but it was just holidays. I've never taught in Asia. So to get first-hand information how it's like to get behind that touristy thing is absolutely amazing. There was some questions there that I just missed beforehand, and there were a couple of good questions, so I'm just going to answer them for you now, guys. So if you're in your final year and your degree is coming in September, would you be able to go for Thailand? So Thailand is not until October. So if you get your degree in your hand, you cannot apply for a visa until you get the degree in your hand, okay? At the moment, we're looking for about 2 months beforehand. I don't know if we'll be able to squeeze it in. Depends if it's the start of September, really, to be quite honest, or the end of September. Should be able to squeeze it in, but you do need your actual physical degree. So if you're in your final year this year and you don't actually get the degree and your ceremony isn't until September, then it may be a little bit too tight to be able to go for it in October. But there's always next year, there's always the language centres as well. Our Thailand internship is public school based, so they only take them twice a year. But our Thailand job is a little bit more flexible with dates. Okay. So yeah, there's ways around it, but definitely if you feel like it's the timing is too tight and you're not sure and you don't want to apply, just ask us when you're getting your degree and where you'd like to go, and we'll be able to kind of answer you straight out. Or if we don't know, we'll be able to ask our in-country partners who help us along the way. They'll be able to know as well. For Japan, so you can put down a preference when you're applying, but it's not guaranteed. And just because there are limited schools available, we are asking for a little bit more flexibility with location and everything like that. So yeah, with Japan, you can put down a preference, but it's not guaranteed. So I mean, if there's a school there and there's a position available and you ask for that location, they are going to give it to you, absolutely no problem. But there might not be a school available there to be able to go, but you can maybe ask to defer your contract until that location is ready, or anything like this. Yeah, there's a couple of options there. Yeah, so I think they were the two questions. Oh, okay, yeah, some jobs pages there. Is there any path to get to Japan without a level 8 degree? So you cannot get the working permit without a degree in Japan. The only path that I would say is the best way to go would be for the to teach online, basically. So if you are going to teach online, I would build up a student base before you go, get those hours in, get some students that are loyal to you, have ongoing contracts, because if you've never done English teaching before, you may not get the students in. So definitely try out online teaching here first as a base, get yourself sorted, and then you can go to Japan on a tourist visa while you're teaching online over there. Absolutely no problem. Yeah, so I see there's a question about CELTA here. So do not have a CELTA program. We are an online-based company. Our level 5 TEFL certificate is the level equivalent of CELTA. So the main difference between CELTA and our level 5 TEFL is that one is offline, one is online. CELTA have actually moved online since COVID and everything last year. So there is a big thing around CELTA. CELTA is an amazing degree and everything like that, but we do not provide it. So we just provide the level 5 TEFL, which is the equivalent, but it's just online, offline. So if you would prefer to be in a classroom based, we don't have that except for our teaching practicum, which is our 10-hour virtual course. That is classroom based, but the main TEFL certificate is online. Yeah, perfect. Sorry, I'm just going to have a look here. So can you do the application now for Japan and the graduation ceremony? Yeah, so you can actually, a lot of people, if you're halfway through your TEFL certificate or just about to graduate, but you don't have the degree in your hand yet, you can apply for the position and say that your documents are pending. You would do this anyway for the Garda clearance and stuff like that, because nobody's going to have that kind of on hand ready to go recent update. So you can say that your documents are pending. Absolutely no problem. It might be a bit too early now if you are waiting until September to be able to apply, but if you're trying to get out in October, just email us. It will be dependent. But for Japan, yeah, you can apply beforehand, and we can just say that the documents are pending, and we can put it through. We can get you through the interview process and everything like that. Get a school picked out for you, and then everything is kind of ready to go once you get that, once you get the degree and once you get your documents together. Absolutely no problem. Yeah, the application is online. It's on our website. So through our jobs link, you just go through our jobs link, you'll see featured jobs. Our Japan, our Taiwan and Thailand ones are open. Our South Korea and China one are closed at the moment. We are not opening applications unless we are 100% that we can actually help you. We don't want people going through that application process and then everything kind of goes downhill from there. So that's why we are being a little bit wary when we open up, when we're opening up job applications. So, you know, when you see that nothing's open on our website, this is why. We're basically waiting to see that everything is 100% and everybody has their ducks in a row and everything like that. I'm TEFL certified. Can I get a job in Ireland? Yes, no problem. You can get a job with TEFL. It's very, very demanding and competitive because because it's a native English speaking country. Obviously there are less jobs. You can go into language centres, immigration centres, but there are fewer jobs, so it is more competitive. So the level 5 TEFL, I would go for native English speaking countries. If you're looking to go for a native English speaking country, definitely go for the level 5 TEFL certificate just to stand out a little bit. Maybe get some experience online, so you have some experience down on your CV. It's very, very competitive to get a job within Ireland or any native English speaking country. Yeah. So yeah, are we accepting Vietnam applications? We do have our job open at the moment. There is a tiny little bit of a backlog. We have lots of applications. So as I said, it's quite a slow process at the moment, but they are going. It is slowly going. It's not at a full halt or anything like that. Perfect. Is it possible to do less than a year in Japan? No, it is a 12-month contract that you do have to sign up for. If you are looking for something that's less than a full academic year, guys, you will have to look into internships or summer camps or something like that. Most job applications, they are looking for a 12-month commitment. So if you're looking for that full-time job with that nice paycheck and all the benefits and everything like that, you will have to commit to 12 months. But there are shorter term contracts there. You can go for like 1 semester internships, or you can go for, you know, again, online teaching. You can go in, out, or summer camps, stuff like this. You can go for stuff. Yeah, that's perfect. If you have a teaching degree, is the 120-hour TEFL enough to teach abroad, or do you need a level 5 TEFL? Yeah, so this depends on the country, whether to go for the 120-hour or the level 5 TEFL. I kind of explained this a little bit at the start. So it is country dependent. So if you want to email me where you'd like to go, my email's up there, guys. It's recruitment@tefl.ie, and I'll be able to kind of give you put you in the right direction, basically, even if we don't have something there. Is there an example or sample of a contract that you could view? Depends where to. We'd be able to kind of lay it out. You'll be able to see the requirements, and you'll be able to see the benefits on our course pages. This is true, and it would be on your contract, and obviously read your contract ever before you actually sign up for it, guys. Okay. Do you think this is good enough to be able? So you have. Well, you have quite a bit there. So you have the TEFL course with some specialist courses and a degree. Do you think it's good enough to get a teaching job, even though you don't have the level 5? Yeah, so definitely good enough for the only place in Asia that it wouldn't be good enough without the level 5 is going to be the UAE at the moment. That's the only place that is an actual visa requirement to have the level 5. Now, obviously, the level 5 TEFL certificate is higher, but because you have the specialist courses, the degree, absolutely, that's fine. And also, if you already have the 120-hour TEFL certificate, but you're not sure if you need the level 5, we can upgrade you, no problem. My suggestion, why not try a few applications first, apply for a few jobs and just see if they come back with feedback that they're looking for level 5, and you feel like you're not getting any feedback and you need more training, then go for it, you know. We can upgrade you to the level 5, absolutely no problem, but it is a complete different course, so it's not, you're not just doing an extra 60 hours from 120 to 180. Well, my maths was wrong there. It is a complete different course, so you have to start again. So you have to put back in the work, but we can help you financially if you are a student alumni of ours and already have our 120-hour TEFL certificate. Absolutely no problem.
Great.
Becky, I'm just gonna butt in there. I think I'm not sure if it's my laptop or you're having technical difficulties with the microphone. Is it the same for everybody else, or is it just me? You can hear, yeah. I think there's a bit of interference. So I think I can.
Okay. Do you want to? Yeah, you can take over with the Q&A. So there, Kate. Sorry about that, guys. And Kate will also talk to you about our Thailand program at the moment. Okay.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to just quickly say thanks to Becky. That was very informative, and thanks Quiva for your input as well. And hello Quiva, how are you? Okay, guys, I'm going to actually stay on and just look at Thailand. So we have a Thailand job and applications open at the moment, and I'm going to run through the Thailand job more so. So that's what I'm staying on for now. And any other questions to do with anything, feel free to email myself or Becky or anybody at the TEFL Institute at any stage, or give us a call on Monday. But I will just be talking about Thailand now. So if you want to stay on for that, feel free. If you want to head away, happy Friday. Okay, so we have a Thailand job that we've been advertising. I'm sure some of you might have got the update in the email. There's only 8 positions at the moment, but very happy to say that they've opened a couple of new positions. We had 10 people come on about a month ago, and it's a bit limited at the moment with everything that's going on. We normally have a bigger application rate, you know, everything like that. But with everything that's going on at the moment, we only have actually 9 positions. Okay. So I'm just going to run through, and before I actually go into the requirements for everybody else who listened today, we're very happy to say, I'm going to put it in here, that anybody who's interested to signing up to a course with us, or looking at kind of upskilling in any way, or doing a specialist course or anything like that, we're happy to give the code Asia Webinar 10 for an extra 10% off any extra training if you attended the webinar today. So anybody looking to upskill or anything like that, before you head off there, I just wanted to give you that to say thank you for attending. Okay, great. I'm going to move on. So for the Thailand job, guys, I'm running through this because I know it's Friday evening and I know people want to start their weekends. So I won't keep you too long, and I'm just going to run through the job. It officially opened yesterday. Very limited spots. The first thing I suppose everybody's asking is, am I eligible? So I'm going to run through the requirements with you to make sure that you can, that you are eligible. Okay. So a bachelor's degree is a must, guys. There's no getting out of it. There's no loophole. You need a bachelor's degree to go to Thailand with this particular job. So yes, you have to be a native English speaker. Ideally, if you're not a native English speaker, you must have a very high level of English. It's very fluent. And ideally, the speaker must be within Europe, just due to visa restrictions. Okay. The age limit for this job is 22 to 60. Okay, so anybody really, it's really open with age, which is fantastic. And of course, you must have your TEFL training done. And another type of training you must have is you must have teaching practice done. Okay, the virtual training. So if you don't have the TEFL cert done, but you're interested in applying, that's fine. You can do the training with us and you can do the teaching practice. If you already have a TEFL certificate, but you don't have the teaching practice done, that's okay as well. When you apply to the job, we can give you that extra training as well. Okay, so this job is, you must commit to a 6-month contract, and it can be extended to a 12-month contract if you're happy to stay on that long, but you do need to commit to a minimum of 6 months. The next start date and the date that we're recruiting for in the next few days is May. Okay, that's the start of the date, that's the start of the term, and it's the start of the semester, and we'd need people ready to go kind of just before May for any quarantine that needs to be done, or any kind of, there's an orientation involved and training. We're talking mid-April. Okay, so clear your calendars from mid-April onwards. So what do we get in this job? Okay, what's in this job package? You are getting your full training. So it's, if you don't already have your TEFL training done, as I said, you will get this full training. You are getting a lot of resources with it. Okay, so like grammar guides, lesson planning guides, and full support in your application. Once you have made your application and you fit the criteria, your job is set up for you. You will be placed at a school, and our partners will have your job and everything ready to go before you actually get to Thailand. So there's no interview process when you get there. Basically, you fly into Bangkok, you get off the plane, and your job is waiting for you. Okay. So the salary for this job is 30,000 to 35,000 Thai baht per month, which is normally at the moment it's about €850 to 1,000 That's the norm. And that depends on your qualifications and experience. So that's a lovely bit of money. I don't know if that mightn't be much for us here, but I don't know if anybody has been to Thailand. But chicken noodles on the side of the road are 150. Your dinner is 150, a beer is 120. So the cost of living is relatively inexpensive. So with that salary, you can save a lot of money. With the accommodation in this job, our partners will help you find it. It's going to be 10% of your wage. So it's going to be about 80 to 100 euro monthly for your accommodation, which is absolutely nothing. Another element of this job that I really enjoy or that I really like is that, as Quiva said, you're not going to be on your own. You're going over with a group of people from the TEFL Institute, and we'll do our best. Becky here sets up a Facebook group every year so everybody can kind of connect and join and kind of be together and say, look, hey, why don't we live together, cut the cost, all those type of things. Okay. What am I looking at here now? Yes, the next thing. So you'll be looking at kind of 18 to 25 lessons per week. Okay. Normally 8 to 4 and 9 to 3. That is your schedule. And as well as that, you do have most weekends off. Lovely. And you'll have all Thai holidays off as well, which is fantastic. Sorry, guys, I'm getting a small bit distracted. I'm leaving people back into the waiting room. But I'm back to you now. Okay. You would be teaching in kindergarten, elementary and secondary schools. Okay. And another plus, I would say, why to kind of go with a job through a provider like ourselves is that you get full support in terms of lesson planning, curriculum. You know, you're not thrown into the deep end. You arrive to Bangkok, you go to Sukhothai. My pronunciation is horrible, but that's Becky can put it into the chat the way it's spelled there, but Sukhothai. And there will be a 3-day orientation in a hotel with all the other English teachers as well. And they will run through everything from Thai culture, Thai language, their style of teaching, all these type of things, as well as getting full training before you actually leave Ireland here. There's 24/7 in-country support, and there's always someone at the end of the phone. So if you're there, you're struggling with something, if you're struggling with visa requirements or accommodation or curriculum, you have that full support and somebody to help you while you're in country. As well as that, our partners, and with this job package, you kind of get help with setting up your bank account, getting an ATM card, getting a SIM card, all those type of things, which is something that I hate organizing when I go abroad, but that's included in the job as well. Okay, I'm going to move down. Great news is that the visa processing has become very easy. Due to COVID, with the paperwork going back and forth, is that they basically process your visa for you. So it's a very simple process, which means it's a lot of work off our back and a lot of work from you. So it's an excellent thing. I'm looking down. So if you are interested and this is something you really want to do, I will send you an email with the terms and conditions to do with COVID and things like this, and the kind of different conditions that are put in place, I suppose, with the job. But look, in my eyes, people are saying, will I go, won't I go with COVID and everything like that? If you haven't seen it, we have a lovely blog written by one of our students who has just gone actually to Thailand during during COVID. She went a couple of weeks ago, and I'm watching her Instagram highlight now, and she's out in a bar drinking, teaching, loving life. So if you are feeling any bit uneasy about maybe traveling at this time or anything like that, it's definitely worth checking out her blog and our Instagram highlight on our page. I'm trying to rush through it there now, guys, because I'm conscious of the time. If there are any questions that about this specific job that anybody has here, please put them in here so I can answer them for you. And just let me know, because I don't want to be ignoring anybody's questions. So the application fee, including the training and including the orientation and including the support and everything like that, it's €339 altogether for this package. and it does work on a first come first serve basis. Okay, so the first 8 spots, well, actually there was 10, but 2 were filled today, so there's only 8 at the minute. It does work on a first come first serve basis, so if you are interested, please get in touch, because I know people were a small bit disappointed the last time, and it's unfortunate about the availability, but that's all we have now. So somebody asked me a question there about the accommodation. Is it organized for you? So with the accommodation, you will be paying, out of your €850 to €1,000 a month, you will be paying 85 to 100 a month. Okay, so it's about 10% of your wage. But in saying that, when you're on this side of the pond here, we do organize everything in terms of, you will get pictures of the accommodation sent to you saying, are you happy with this, and all that type of thing. So it's fully organized, meaning you don't have to do anything. And you can kind of say you want to share with other teachers and things like that if you want to, or you can live on your own as well. Do you have to do an interview for this specific job? You do have to have an interview with our partners, but I wouldn't really call it an interview. Once you kind of fit the requirements and we pre-screen you and we're happy to take your application, all our partners are doing are trying to just kind of double check everything to make sure that you say you are who you are and everything like that. With this job, we have a 90% success rate. The only reason you wouldn't, if you fit the requirements, of course, which I went through, but if you fit the requirements, the only reason you wouldn't be accepted would be something along the lines of, if you had something on your criminal record or something, or your degree wasn't real or something like that. But if you do fit the requirements, there should be absolutely no reason for you not to be accepted as well. So what I'm going to do now, I still have 40 people here, but I'm going to stay on here and just ask for anybody who's actually interested in applying for this position in the next 2 days for these 8 positions. Can you just stay with me and just leave your email so I can give you a call to get your name down on the list, because otherwise it'll be kind of be lost, and just so I know who's applying. If you already have a TEFL course, is there a reduction in the price? There is, Claire. Yeah, absolutely. It won't be the full whack if you already have the training. So just put your name down there and I can get in touch and we can organize and get that application in for you. So if, Claire, I'm not sure what training you do have, or which TEFL course you do have, but if you don't have the teaching practice part, you would have to do that as well. Oh, you have the 310 hybrid. Perfect. Yeah. So the application fee will come down to €219 for you, and that's including everything. So yeah, guys, if there's anybody interested, thanks very much to everybody who was listening today, and anybody who wants to stay on and just talk to me about the application, please do. For everybody else, have a lovely weekend, and please feel free to get in touch. Please feel free to ask us any questions about teaching in Asia. We're more than happy to answer your calls and everything like that and get you to your dream destination. So thanks a million.
I just wanted to say thank you very much, guys, as well. And I'm sorry if my voice was a little bit in and out. As you all know, we're all working from home. So apologies for that. And thank you so much for listening as well.